Good morning. Raise your hand if you've ever had a bad first date. I will never forget my last bad first date. We met on the Bumble app. It was my first and only time using the app. And we decided that we were going to meet for ice cream. So we planned the date, and a couple days goes by before our first date, and I'm walking up to the first date where we're gonna meet, and that internal dialogue starts going on. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if he's one of those guys that wears those spandex suits on Saturdays and goes cycling with his friends? I can't do that. And I'm like, but he's cute, so I think we're good. And I walk up and I see him sitting at the table in front of the ice cream shop that we're going to be meeting at. And you guys, he looks nothing like his photos. Anyone have that experience before? And so I'm like, okay, maybe I can just turn around slowly and walk away, and maybe I just text him and say, hey, I'm sorry, I got busy. But in that moment, he sees me, and he gives me a big friendly wave, and I wave back a little bit, being like, okay, let's do this. Let's just wrap it up as quick as possible. And I walk up. And we grab our ice cream, and within the first 5 minutes, I find out he's a professional pole vaulter, which I just can't relate to. And I share with him that I own my own business, and he's equally unimpressed. And we both managed to decide that we're gonna wrap up this date in about 25 minutes flat. So what does my bad first date story have to do with you generating cash converting copy that eliminates unqualified leads from clogging up your calendar and getting people to show up to the sales call ready to buy? Well, raise your hand if you've ever had the experience where you've showed up to a sales call and within the first 5 minutes you're like, how am I on this call right now? Like, they are completely different than my ideal client, and how did they even find my calendar link, and how do I wrap this thing up as quick as possible? Anyone can relate to that at all? Yeah? So what we're gonna be diving into today in particular is something that we've created called the Client Conversion Campaign. Now, this is specifically for you if you sell high-end products over the phone, but it's a simple automated email campaign that warms up your prospects before they're ready to buy, and so that you only show up on the phone with qualified leads. And we do that through the right strategy and the right copy. Sound good? Yeah. Y'all are a little tired today, are you? Did everyone go to the after parties last night? I'm like feeling the collective hungoverness in the room. I'm just gonna speak into that. So some of the benefits of the client conversion campaign: one, increasing your show-up rates for sales calls by 50%. One of our clients had a campaign where it was an automated webinar, and on average, they were getting about 4 people to show up to their sales calls per day. And from implementing this super simple campaign, they were averaging 8 to 9 calls by doing nothing else than plugging in this one campaign. And it's super simple, but yet nobody in the industry is talking about it. And it's been something that we've been using for ourselves and for our clients that has been working extremely well. Also, it gets your ideal clients to show up pre-qualified, pre-motivated, and pre-positioned to want to do business with you. And third, you're not wasting your time. Because your time and your salespeople time is the most valuable asset in your business. Can anyone agree with that? Yeah? Cool. So this looks like a typical high-level marketing campaign, right? So it goes, We attract strangers, and then we convert them into leads, and then we close them into customers, and then we turn them into promoters. Everyone see something along the lines of this? Yeah. And what we're going to be talking about today is that point between when they raise their hand and say, yeah, I'm interested, and the actual sales call, because this is the most valuable real estate. They're engaged. They're saying, yeah, I'm interested, but we want to make sure that they're showing up excited. And most business owners are missing this all together. So that's what we're really going to dive into today. Like Allison mentioned, I'm the founder of Conscious Copy & Co. We've built a top copywriting agency in the online business space. She listed off some of our clients that you may recognize. My team and I have written have reached tens of millions of people through our copy, and I've personally sold over $1.2 million in services over the phone. And one of the biggest reasons why I created this campaign is because at the time I didn't consider myself a very good saleswoman. And so I was like, I want to make it as easy as possible for me to be able to close these huge clients over the phone. So how can I do all of the prep work so I can show up and I don't have to be ninja good? So I want to share with you another story of the power of a client conversion campaign. So TNC has a very special place in my heart because 2 years ago at Traffic and Conversion, on day 2, at one of the after parties, I met a guy named Alex. And we connected at the party and really hit it off, talked about some of our favorite topics: funnels, Facebook ads, landing pages, split tests. Oh, it's like melted my heart, if you know what I mean. And he asked me out on a first date. And I said yes. And there was quite a few days between the time that he asked me on the first date and the actual date itself. But this time, unlike my bad Bumble date, we engaged. We were texting every day. We were engaging. I found out about how he has an online business. I have an online business. He loves to travel. I love to travel. We both love going to nerdy marketing and business conferences. Like, that's what we would do any day of the week. We both love music festivals. And so by the time it gets to our first date, I'm like enrolled. And by the time it comes to our first date, AKA sales call, I'm enrolled. So we meet in Beverly Hills and we hike up to the Hollywood sign, and we're overlooking Beverly Hills. And we later found out that in that moment, on that first date, both of us were thinking, oh my gosh, I think I found my person. Yeah, like, this is my person. And this is the photo of us on that first date. And he's here today supporting me. And we travel all around the world. We go to our favorite business conferences. We speak on each other's stages. And it's a match made in heaven. And so how can we create this kind of experience for you on your sales calls so that your ideal prospects show up to the sales call saying, I'm enrolled. Like, where do I sign up? Who would like something even remotely close to that? Yeah? Cool. So here's what we're going to dive into today. Step 1, we're going to dive into the foundation. So I'm going to actually break down a piece. There's 5 kind of parts to the client conversion campaign, but I'm going to break down the one campaign that you can use to make sure that those leads are showing up to your call qualified and ready to buy. Step 2 is where I'm going to break down the structure for you. So the strategy. And step 3 is we're going to go into the copy. So what are you pouring in there to engage with them? Copy is persuasion in print or written words that sell. So how do we motivate them and draw them in? By the way, I see a lot of you taking photos on your phone. Totally cool. But if you come to our booth at the end, because we're going to be getting into some pretty nitty-gritty stuff, come to our booth, Pacific 525, and we'll just send you the slide deck at the end of this session so that you can have all of the notes and you can just be super present. Step 1, the foundation. You want to make sure that you're answering these questions before we even start building out the campaign or writing the copy. And a lot of you probably have heard this a number of times, but the foundation and the principles are those for a reason, is because they're the most important part of making sure that you create a cash converting copy, or creating cash converting copy. Step 1, who's your ideal client? So like for us, an ideal client would be a successful business owner who has been trying and failing at marketing, but they know that their messaging and their copy is the biggest bottleneck. So you don't have to go deep into it, but it's like who's the person and what is the problem that they have that you're going to help solve? That's how you want to answer this question of who's the ideal client, because we want to make sure that everything that you're creating is going towards that. Secondly, what are you offering? What are you going to be offering on the phone and selling them? And even if you're not selling on the phone, like what are we going to be leading them to so that everything that we create is congruent to that? Everything that we're doing is enrolling them into the next step that leads to that. That make sense? Cool. And then step 3 is, what do they need to believe in order to feel ready to buy? So a lot of the times they need to believe in you. Why you? 2, they need to believe in themselves. Are they going to be able to feel like they can really do this? And step 3, can they believe in the process? We're going to need to make sure that we answer those all up front. So like for us, say if we're offering our Conscious Copy workshop, which is like a 2.5-day workshop where we dive in deep with business owners, we're going to need to get them to believe that they can write copy and that it's not as hard as they think it is. We're going to need to get them to believe that this is one of the most important skills that they must master. And we're going to do that before ever getting to the call. All making sense? Cool. Step 2, we're going to go through the structure. So here's the typical way, or the typical funnel for many business owners who are selling over the phone. First is lead generation, so wherever you're getting your leads. Then there's the application, asking them some different questions, name, email, phone number. Then the schedule call link, getting them to book their call. Then they have their sales call, and then it either results in a sale or no sale. So say, for example, you have a $10,000 service that you're selling over the phone. On average, say for this example, we have 10 calls. You got 10 calls booked. On average, about 50% of those are going to show up. So 5 people. Out of those 5 people, say on average you have a 20% closing rate, you're going to get 1 sale. So $10,000. Now, with the client conversion campaign, this is the snapshot of what it looks like, and we're going to break it down. Oops. You got your lead generation. From the lead, they're going to fill out the application to say, hey, I'm interested in the phone call. They're going to book the phone call. And then this is the key. We want to be sending them emails between the time that they book and the actual call to nurture and build that relationship and the rapport, answer the objections in advance so that they show up to the call ready to go. And then if they miss the call, having an automated campaign that makes sure that they reschedule the call, because about 50% of the people aren't going to show up, for the most part, if you're doing cold traffic. And then you have the sales call, and then it either results in a sale or no sale. So let's use the example again of you have a $10,000 service. What we found from doing this campaign for ourselves and for our clients across the board, the show-up rate increases 50%, so 75%. About 7 people are showing up to the call. And then from there, because you're pre-positioning and pre-qualifying and pre-motivating them, your sales percentage increases, on average about 30%. So 2 are buying. resulting in $20,000, doubling the amount that you would do with no less work other than this campaign. Y'all want to learn this? Yes. Love it. Cool. So first step, the application. Y'all probably know or have saw these or use these, so it's simply just sifting and sorting your quality leads, understanding where the prospect's at before the call, and framing your sales call. 2 is that schedule call link, getting them to book the call. But like I mentioned, this is where most business owners stop. This is where on my first date, it stopped. It was like, okay, date's booked, we'll just show up and see how it goes. When really, I could have definitely prospected and filtered and even decided, do I want to show up to the date in the first place? Or vice versa. So we're going to be sending them, you can send more, but what we typically do is 3 emails called the scheduled call campaign that's priming them through emails so they show up pre-qualified, pre-motivated. This is what the first email entails. Email 1 is this is right after they have booked the call. You want to make sure that you're keeping that momentum going, that excitement going. So you want to send what to expect, or tell them what to expect. The subject line is re-demo call and what to expect. So a lot of the times when it comes to copy, we think that, subject lines are headlines. But at this point, this is now someone that you're getting to know. So we don't want to use the subject line as a headline. We want to use it pretty neutral. Like you're just sending them like a friend hey, we have a call tomorrow. Not the 5 surprising things that you're going to find out on our sales call tomorrow. You won't want to miss it, Because we want to treat them like a friend now. So you want to let them know, hey, you're booked. Confirm that. Let them know what to expect. So you want to prepare them. You want to seed them. Seed what you're going to talk about on the call to get them excited. With Alex, when we were talking back and forth, he was seeding me into our vision of the possibilities, of the potential. I was so excited. I was like counting down the days. And then you want to sprinkle in some case studies and testimonials. So this is where I'd recommend that you would actually send them to a link that has case studies and testimonials of your past clients. I wouldn't recommend doing this for if you're translating all of this into your dating strategy for tonight. I probably wouldn't send case studies and testimonials. But for the business side, we're gonna go with these, okay? Because I know some of you are like, oh, this is pretty good. I can use this tonight. I mean, she said she met her person at TNC. Maybe I will tonight. Day 2 is a good night. And then you want to sign off. And then in step number 5, you want in the PS section, you want to provide some content that they can consume before the call. Get them excited again. If you have guides or videos or questions to ask, you're priming them, you're seeding the sale. Email 2 is you want to answer their objections. So, and their frequently asked questions. So this is the day after they book. Subject line, read this before our call. Very neutral. First, providing frequently asked questions. What are the questions that you get over and over on your sales calls that you can answer in advance so that they show up and a lot of those have been answered? So you can have, how do you work? What do you do? What don't you do? What is your process like? Providing examples of your work. Pricing. This one I put an asterisk by because it really depends of your industry, your price points. Sometimes it's good to give a range, sometimes not. It just depends. And then how much time will it require? Depending on your service, letting them know what to expect. These are all questions that they're asking in advance. I think in dating terms, because I love making referencing marketing to dating, some questions that you'd want to answer in advance, do you still live with your parents? Are those really all of your cats in your profile photos? Do you want kids? Great questions to pre-qualify, pre-motivate. And then you sign off. And then in the PS section, again, you're providing case studies, proof of work, and just one call to action. And every email is like one call to action to send them somewhere, so you're getting them primed and you're seeding for them to take action. Every time they take action, or every time they get something from you, they're taking action. This all making sense? Helpful? Yeah. So good. It's powerful. Email 3 is rapport building. So subject line, link to the call, and excited to connect. Again, very neutral. My friend Dean Jackson said that when you're writing subject lines, you want to imagine it like a label maker, or an email that your mom would send you, because your mom gets 100% open rates. When you see an email from your mom, you're probably going to open it, but she doesn't say 3 simple facts about my casseroles. You know, she's like, dinner tomorrow, question mark? So again, when we're courting and seeding this person, we just want to treat them like a friend. You want to share the link and the location for the call. Make it really easy on them. Let them know where you're going to meet. This is really important and often overlooked, is sharing a bit about your company and your culture and your values, so that they connect and see, oh, do I align with this person? Do I not align with this person? If they know that you have common values, they're going to show up to that call feeling like they can trust you a lot more. Also, ask them for the call to action. Ask them a question that they can think about before the call, again, to seed and get their brain starting to think about it. Because a lot of times with our clients, they're booking the call and they're on to the next thing. But if we say, hey, I want you to think about this question. If you were to, by the end of 2019, you were to feel so confident about your marketing, what are the 1 to 2 things that would need to happen? Or I want you to think about, what is your number 1 problem when it comes to your lead generation? I want you to think about that before you come to the call. All right, step 5 is the sales call. So you deliver value and you enroll them. This is the first date. And then we got the missed call sequence. This is to remotivate them to book as soon as possible if they do not show up. Because an important detail that I forgot to miss in Alex and I's story was on day 2 of TNC, he asked me on a first date, I said yes, and then I canceled. And luckily, he had a missed call campaign set up. And he followed up on the Monday, and he called me, and he said, hey, out of everything in TNC, everything that happened in TNC, my number 1 takeaway is I still really want to take you on that first date. Oh, ladies are like, oh, it's like, oh, come on, so good. And thank God he had that missed call campaign set up. So we want to make sure we're not just leaving them. Email number 1 is you want to get them to register again and build the benefits. Why should they show up to that call? They're busy. Subject line, simply just missed call, reschedule, or let's reschedule. You want to address that they missed the call, provide them the link to reschedule, that's the call to action, highlight the benefits, and then this is an important one. In your copy as a whole, you want to make sure that you're drawing the cost of inaction. If they do not take this call, what is going to happen to their business? Or what is going to happen to their relationships, or whatever you're helping them with? Get them to see the missed opportunity if they do not take action. Sign off. And then in the PS section, again, you want to send them that reschedule link as the call to action. Make it easy on them. And then email number 2 is registered again, missing out. This is the final one you send. So again, a subject line that we've tested that works regardless of whatever is inside of the email is simply just RE colon and their first name. RE Jennifer. Or simply just their first name, Jennifer, Tom, Peter. One of the highest open rates that we see across the board. You want to address that they missed the call. You want to provide them the link to reschedule again. And then you want to provide 1 to 3 case studies. So again, that they see, oh yeah, there's other people that are just like me that are getting results. I better take action. I better book this call. You want to sign off. And then again, that link to reschedule. Cool? So now you see the structure of the client conversion campaign. Now let's go into the copy. Sound good? Yeah. For the sake of time today, I'm going to give you 3 copy tips that you can immediately use, regardless of whether it's this campaign or any other one. Copy tip number 1 is you want to focus on the benefits. So I've studied from a lot of the OG copywriters, Gary Halbert, Robert Collier, Eugene Schwartz. They all have their own flavor of how to write a benefit statement, but this is one of my favorites. It's so simple, and it goes like this. Step 1, you want to list out all of the features of your product or service. So that's what it is. If they're getting, a campaign built, list everything out in that campaign. If they're getting coaching calls, how many calls are they getting? If they're getting events, how many events are they getting? Just list out all of the features. Step 2 is the advantage. What does each one of these features do? What it does. And then step 3 is why it matters to the client. So this is super important, where you got to put your client-focused hat on and think about, with this ideal client, what do they really want? Like, what are their primal desires? And how can I wrap my feature into the benefit that they really, really want? Y'all probably already know where I'm going with this. I'm going to make another dating reference because I think they're hilarious. So with Alex and I, a feature that was going on in my mind as we're on our first date is, he owns his own business. That's the feature. The advantage, flexibility in schedule, freedom. The benefits, we can travel wherever and work from wherever. I don't have to pay for all of his meals like I did my last boyfriend. We can go to business events together, and it could be like a double date all weekend. I'm like going through all these benefits, right? And those are important to me. So what's important to your ideal client, though? And that's how you want to list out your benefit statement. So in those emails, in those copy, you're always focusing on the benefits. What's in it for them? And one of my other favorite quotes by Robert Collier is, enter the conversation that's already going on in your prospect's mind. That's the tweetable. Enter the conversation that's already going on in your prospect's mind. And that's where you want to meet them with those benefits. So another example here, business related, would be, before would be on this call, we'll see if it's a good fit to work together. Not bad, not good. An upgrade is walk away from this strategy session knowing exactly where you're leaving money on the table throughout your sales process. See, it's like the cost of inaction if they don't come, but really painting, they're going to walk away with something that they really want. Make sense? Yeah, cool. Copy tip number 2 is the 5 words to get them to the yes. We use this all throughout the copy, every single piece of copy that we write, and that when we're in our workshops, we're training people how to write their own copy, them and their teams. This is one of the most important ones, is making a list of what are the most common objections and questions that you're getting on your sales calls or that you're getting, in your customer support. Make a list of all of them and label them on a scale of 1 to 10, which ones come up the most. If you're not already doing this, one of the biggest takeaways, get you and your salespeople to start writing down the common objections and common questions that are coming up on those sales calls. Because we want to answer them in advance. We want to educate these people before the sales call by providing them educational-based marketing. So the 5 words, once you've had a list of all of the objections, you want to start with this sentence in your copy, and maybe it would even throughout your frequently asked questions. You're probably thinking X, right? That's it. You're probably thinking X, right? And X is that objection that they're probably already thinking about. Because get this, there's a Harvard business study done that 95% of buying decisions are subconscious. Meaning we like to think that we're making conscious decisions, but really there's something back here that's really determining whether we're going to say yes or no. And so we want to make sure that we're entering that conversation that's going on in their mind that they're not saying. And the best place to find that is through our sales calls. So here's some examples. If you're doing a service, you're probably thinking this is going to take like a bajillion hours to do, right? Or you're probably thinking this is just going to be for advanced people, right? Or you're probably wondering, will this work for me? And then what you put after that question is simply educating them on what they don't know that they don't know, so that they can now make a more informed decision in that piece of copy or on that sales call. Make sense? Yeah. Copy tip number 3 is a clear call to action. Crystal clear. So here's the thing. Your ideal clients, they're going throughout their day and they have millions of decisions that they're having to make. And we don't want to make them really think, like, what am I supposed to do here? We want to make it as simple as possible for them. I love this photo of the maze because it's so true. It's like, okay, do I turn here? Do I not turn here? Do I turn here? Do I not turn here? If you think about, if you've ever been in an airport or even this convention center, if there's signs on the walls, you'll see that there's signs continuously. It's not just like ManyChat ballroom this way and there's one sign and they just hope that you're going to figure it out. They keep reminding you, it's this way, turn left here. But there's always a guide to get you here and reminders over and over. And the same thing goes with our prospective clients. Regardless of what you're creating, you want to make sure that there's a crystal clear call to action always on every piece of copy. Let them know what the next step is. So here's what doesn't work, and here's what works. What does not work? If you have any questions, let me know. How many of you have written in those in the subject line of your emails? Yeah. Have any questions, let me know. What works is hit reply to this email and send me your number 1 question when it comes to blank. What does not work? Just reach out to us to chat. Where do we reach out? Do we reach out phone, email? Do I text you? Where do I go? Click instead, what works, click here to sign up for the name of the call. Really specific. What you want them to do, click here, enroll now, keep it consistent, keep it clear. Make sense? Cool. So to recap what we covered today on this journey, aside from some fantastic marketing via dating analogies, I highly recommend you all try some of these out tonight at the after parties. The foundation, get crystal clear of your ideal client, your offer, and what they need to believe. That's step 1. Step 2 is the structure. That client conversion campaign, the structure is just as important as the copy, and vice versa. They work together. That's why I didn't just rattle off a bunch of copy tips, is because the structure and the setup is just as important. The copy. Number 1, focus on the benefits. That benefit statement. Feature, advantage, benefit. 2, 5 words to get them to the yes. You're probably thinking X, right? And 3, a crystal clear call to action always. So as you saw throughout this process with copy, so much of it is, and excuse me, leading up to that sales call is seeding and nurturing and building the relationship before the yes. How much legwork can we do before getting to the yes? So I want to leave you with one thing. If you just walk out of this session today with one thing, it's a quote from Alex Mandossian. It's one of my favorites. And it's, seeding is the lubricant of selling. And I'd take that one step further and say nurturing and seeding is the lubricant of selling. So again, if you'd like this slide deck, because as you see, we covered a lot, you can get a free copy critique and our entire slide deck, plus some sweet goodies at our booth, which is the Pacific Ballroom 525 at the end of this talk. And that is all I got for you. Thank you. And I believe we're doing Q&A, right?
Sorry?
I believe they said Q&A. There's like a couple minutes left.
So
if y'all want Q&A.
We have 2 minutes for Q&A with Jennifer. If anyone has some direct questions.
Yeah.
Are you doing this on email and Messenger?
Am I doing it on email and Messenger as far as the scheduled call
Yeah,
campaign?
like we find our open rates, obviously, in Messenger about a bazillion times higher. So are you doing this throughout Messenger, or are you doing email and Messenger?
We're mainly doing on email, although if you're using Messenger, it would absolutely work there as well. Yeah, good question.
How warm are those prospects that you're actually...
Here.
Hey, how warm are those people that you're actually reaching with this pre-qualifying? Do they know you, or they're like cold leads? Do you already, like, they are pre-warm, like, do they follow you for a while or anything? Or how do you capture those people that actually go to the pre-qualifying process? Yeah.
Gotcha. The leads are coming in. So we have hot, warm, and cold lead generation for our company as well as our clients that we work with. And so they're coming from all different places, but they're coming into the same campaign. So Facebook, Instagram, through speaking engagements, events, referrals coming to our site.
Okay, so they all go together in the same process?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I use schedule once, and it automatically sends, reminder emails. Would it be good to just change the wording on that to include what you did, or because I don't want to hit them with like 5 emails right before, or do you think it's better to have it as a separate campaign, separate from just the reminders?
So we have, if you're using reminders, you're going to want to make sure that you're still including all of the elements of so that you pre-qualify and pre-motivate them. We use Acuity, which is something similar, and they're still getting like 1 or 2 emails, just letting them know the time as well, and it works fine. Yeah.
He's right here.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm wondering, so it's a 3-day sequence.
Yes.
So are you not allowing anybody to book in those 3 days? They have to get the emails, and then you're booking the 4th day out?
Really great question. So if they can book sooner, we definitely get them sooner, and they'll maybe only receive 1 or 2 of those emails. And then if they're booking out longer, we try to keep our calendar as close as possible so they're not booking like 2 weeks in advance. But you could add additional emails if you know that it may take longer than that as well.
Okay, great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Right here. Hi. You did a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
One of your emails, in the sequence leading up to the call, you mentioned putting the price in there. Can you speak to that? Because I didn't know if that was really advisable to put price in there, or is it just can you talk about that a little bit more?
Sure. So like I mentioned, it's depending on the industry and depending on your offers, determines whether you put price in there or not. So I'll give you 2 examples so that you can see. So if you were doing a high-end, like a high-end coaching or consulting offer, and you know that that's really going to be sticker shock for someone, then I probably wouldn't include it in there. Something that we found is for some of our clients as well as ourselves, we have services where we get so many people applying that we've intentionally put in the price range of, hey, it's just to let you know, these are the ranges of the services that, or the ranges of price point between our services. Plus, if that's not for you, then here's where you can learn more about our workshops. So we give that range more so just to filter the people on the phone because we have so many leads coming in for some of those services.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
My first one here.
Yep.
Love it.
So this was all for like sales calls and such, but have you tried translating this over to like a sales page on a website or something similar to that? Like my business does off a website sale.
Yeah, so with a sales page, there'd be a lot of the fundamentals here are all still the same. So with your objection sequence, that would be on your sales page, or case studies and testimonials, that would be on your sales page. But we haven't used this sequence to lead up to a sales page. We'd have a bit of a different strategy for that depending on how much the offer on the sales page is. Because depending if it's 47 versus 997, there's going to be a different strategy leading up to that sales page to make sure that the prospects are showing up ready to buy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
How do you structure your phone call, please?
How do I what?
Structure the phone call. The call.
The call.
Yeah.
We use a typical, well, not a typical sales script. We actually use the congruent closing sales script, which is a structure of like an opening and positioning, like where are they at, where do they want to go, bridging the gap between where they are at, where they want to go with providing them what they need help with, and then introducing our solution. So it's kind of custom to, or we've taken the outline and then we've customized it to our services. But I think you can go to like congruent closing. and their congruent closing script is on there. Fun fact, he does high-end sales, so we're like a match made in heaven. I do marketing, and he does high-end sales. So it's amazing, though, because you got to customize it. Like, we don't just use, like, a script and, like, robots, but we definitely have a structure that our whole team uses, depending on the offers. Yeah. Hi.
First off, amazing presentation.
Thank
so
you.
helpful. I did want to know if you do have the sales team available and on hand at that moment, as soon as a lead comes in, is it better to go ahead and call them right away? Or is it better to go ahead and go through the drip campaign so you're selling more of the company and the benefits over time?
Great question. What we do right now with where we're at is if we have the possibility to book that sales call, we'll book it as quick as possible.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the survey part and when they come in, if they're not qualified, and some of the questions you might answer as well? Do you filter them into different campaigns from there? How does that survey fit into it?
Yeah, so the application, so once we look at the application, we really determine, it's so important in your application to make sure that you're asking the right questions that are actually the determining factor of whether you can help someone or not help someone. So for us, for example, we have an application where depending on if they say their annual revenue, if they say it's over a specific amount, then they automatically go into the campaign. If they don't, then we send them into a separate campaign that says, hey, we don't think that it's time yet, but here's some really valuable resources that you can start with. But depending on your offer, what the requirements are, you're gonna wanna answer those in advance. You can do it automated like that, or you can have a team member go through and just say, do they qualify, do they not qualify? If they don't, you just send them an email and let them know, thanks so much for registering, but we don't think it's a good fit this time. Good, but did that answer your question? Awesome.
Awesome, and Jennifer is going to be at the booth and your team.
Yes.
And your booth is right out there.
So it is in the Pacific Ballroom, which is on the other side of the event center downstairs. And it's in the big ballroom, Pacific. We're right in the corner. But come there, we'll give you all of our slides. We can even set up a short copy critique where we'll look over your copy
Wow,
and give you
that's so
feedback.
valuable.
And then some other free, a copy stack of free gifts.
Awesome. Let's give Jennifer a hand.
Thank you. Thank you.